When I try to go through the case of Albert Ojwang, this is the third actual video I'm doing about Albert Ojwang. It's a touching case that we all have to talk about it, unless the government can get to know that some things that are done from the government are not right. And also here on social media, we also try to be informative. We enlighten the public on some things that they might not be aware, and we also keep pushing for some agendas like now this one for justice for Albert Ojwang. Now, let me just touch through because most of you know what happened. There was an arrest that was made, and then there was the transport of the arrested person, that is Albert Ojwang, from Homa Bay to Nairobi. There was torturing that occurred because it is very clear from the hospital records and also from the pathologist. Also, we know that death occurred and there's a family that's grieving as we speak today. Now, after the death had occurred, there was also concealing some information by government officials. So as you speak today, ladies and gentlemen, you can see there are very clear things that happened, clear steps that were followed, and that people were involved in every sector. We can easily tell that there's somebody here and this step who is supposed to be arrested and probably being caught as we speak today. Now, but we are yet to get any arrest. And we can see from all angles that both the IPOA and the police force, led by the IG Douglas Kanja, they are trying to take it slow. Probably the person involved is quite powerful that they cannot mess up with. So as we speak today, on this particular video, I want to take you through on the people who should be arrested as we speak today. But I want to be very specific also later on the person who has been implicated right now and give reasons as to why. The people should be in jail right now as we speak. It's Eliud Langat. We need to have this police spokesperson, Nyaga. We need to have IG in police custody. These are people who have not done things according to the expectations of Kenyans. They have allowed some things to happen within the purview. So we need these people to be in court, then prove themselves not guilty and be released. We also need the police officers who are manning that police station in jail because they were there when everything was happening to Albert. If those who transported Albert to Nairobi also had done anything wrong to him, they also need to be in jail. As we speak today, even the DCI officer who actually ensured that the DCI officers have gone until Homa Bay, brought him to Nairobi, they should also be out of office as we speak for the failure to ensure that their officers are professional in case they were involved anywhere. And as we speak today, we cannot finish this video without saying that probably we feel the Interior Cabinet Secretary should have resigned because the people working under him have failed. That is what we call integrity in officers. So ladies and gentlemen, those are the people who probably should be arrested as we speak. But there is a person here who has been pointed out as the key suspect. And that was said by the DCI boss. And what did he say? The OCS commanding police station, that is the OCS in charge of the police station, the central police station, should be arrested, put in jail. And that is Talam. Now, on this particular video, I want to take you through on why the OCS probably should not also miss out as the people, among the people who should be arrested. Number one is the fact that he allowed the booking or probably and the release of Albert Ojwang while in a bad state. Assuming that Albert Ojwang was booked in when he was in a good state. There's an allegation that just came out from the Star newspaper that later on he got released to some police officers while we had a senior police officer present and taken to Karura Forest for torture. That release was done, could not be done without authorization by the OCS. So the first thing is that OCS should be responsible for that. Assuming that Ojwang was brought to the police station while in a bad state, he was not supposed to be booked. Because people also saying in the news that there was the word sick that was also boldly put under the name of Albert Ojwang. So that means the OCS must have been aware of this. Now, it could be possible that things were done by the people from above. Let him come out and say it. But if not, he should also be held culpable. Also, I have to state it here categorically that the statement that came out to the public that Albert Ojwang hit himself at the wall to death, That statement emanated from the police station, Central Police Station. And who is in charge there? The OCS. So the OCS giving that information was very poor. Unless the information came out from elsewhere, the OCS should be held culpable for that. Giving information that was not right. Number 3, if the OCS noticed there was a problem in that Albert Ojwang was either molested, tortured in any way, he was to take charge as a police officer of this country who sought to protect the lives of Kenyans and ensure that the right thing has been done. In that, if he was hurt, by who, why, and when. Without it coming out after death, this gentleman, at least he could have raised an alarm and ensured that at least the right things or the constitution has been followed. But instead, despite assuming the way he said that probably he had insisted he wouldn't admit someone who was unwell, he could have actually taken charge and asked even questions. Why are you bringing him here when he's in a bad condition? Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, Albert Ojwang, it cannot be said that in all these operations, the OCS did not see him. At least he saw him, either in a good state or in a bad state. And at least he took part in either of them, or both. In one of them, or both. But all of them point towards him, because he is the person who was in charge of even the cell. In fact, there's a part that was said that from the newspaper, that when he was released, after he had been booked in, he was released, tortured, then returned back. Then there were other inmates within that cell who were actually released, and Albert Ojwang to be left alone in that cell to probably conceal the evidence. Then, therefore, it's clear that there's a likelihood the OCS was involved, unless he was coerced. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the other reason as to why the OCS should be held responsible is the fact that allowing such things to happen is against the constitution. But if he was coerced, he should come out outrightly, state it categorically that he wanted to do the right thing, but either he was threatened, coerced by his boss, or maybe it was not at least a reasonable explanation to what happened that needed to this kind of a death that we experienced as a country of a young man who was the only child of Mzee Ojwang. If he cannot give an explanation, this probably should be in jail, because then he's the main suspect. If he was coerced, let him point out that Eliu Lagat is in charge and probably did this and that to stop me. Because we need to have everybody held culpable. Everybody must take responsibility for this kind of an act. I don't know what's your take, but in the comment section, please share with me.